Okay, welcome everybody. This is Truly Diversified, a show that we hold every single Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, where we discuss diversifying people's portfolios. If you're a retirement planner out there, you deal in annuities or any type of financial advising, this is where you want to be to learn about alternative investments. In the area we spend most of our time is what we call life insurance buyouts or life settlements. My background here is for a long time, I was involved in the annuity space. And what I found for myself was that I would have all my time and all my money dedicated to doing things like seminars, trying to get clients to come in and work with me. And then I would write an annuity, rather large size annuities. Most annuities are, in the $200,000 to $500,000 space. You make a good living doing that. But what you find out after a while is you've helped those people get the annuity. You've worked all that energy on those people, spent a lot of money in acquisition cost, and you've built up this book of business with clients who've bought annuities from you, and really you don't have any secondary product to sell them. Sure, you could try to go and try to sell an IUL or maybe a long-term care policy, but you don't have a lot of options within the insurance space of where to go. So about 20 years ago, I did some research and found a product that works absolutely great for that space for clients, either A, who already have bought an annuity with you, or maybe you've talked to a lot of people about annuities and they're just not interested. You need that follow-up plan to go to them and say, well, what about plan B? This would be your plan B. So let's look at what a life settlement is and the space that it holds, because there's a lot of misconceptions about what life settlements are. Number one, a lot of people kind of think, oh, a life settlement, you're asking my client to sell their policy. That is not what we're doing. We're looking for people to invest in other people's policies. Okay. So we're going to go over what that is, and then I'm going to show you some tricks of the trade that I've known over the 20 years to get that conversation started. To start off again, everybody here, if you come in and you work with us, it's a 15% commission on working with us when you sell this product. So you're making almost twice as much money as you would if you sold an annuity. And you're going to see that if you go back to some of my other videos, that historically life settlements have made 2 to 4 times the amount in returns that your client will make in an annuity, number one. And number two, they're probably going to get paid out historically faster than they would when they buy an annuity. So we're going to show you how that works. I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you a couple of the selling points that we use in life settlements. Number one is everybody knows who this guy is. That's Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett has been in this space for a long time. Okay. He has a company, a division that is dedicated to only buying life settlements and has probably dumped in more than $1 billion. And he's not alone in this. A lot of the big banks, financial institutions have followed his lead over the last couple decades, slowly and quietly diversifying money into life settlements from other places. Why do they do this? It's a great hedge against the market. Data has shown that over those decades, through a study done by the London School of Business, that these institutional buyers are averaging 12% a year. I can say classically with my clients, they've seen somewhere in that type of return as well. We usually tell people you can expect about an 8 to 12, 13% return on these. Last year with my clients and the people I worked with, they were averaging 16.5% on the maturities they got paid out on with their policies. Now that was a good year, right? 16.5 was a really good year. But we have the data to show and back up that, yes, we have testimonials from clients, we have checks, we can show all of that if you decide you want to work with us to show the transparency that this is available to your clients. It has been around for a long time, and it is something that they need to look at to diversify away from the market. But also, it's a place where, remember, they're going to get paid out by insurance carriers, some of the top financial secure companies in the world, which is where a lot of them are placing their trust and value with their annuity, right? So think about it. You're not having to really break off and say, hey, I know you bought the annuity because it has some safety to it and guarantees that come with dealing with an insurance carrier, but now I want to take your money and go off and do something that's more speculative, like maybe a real estate deal or oil and gas or crypto or something like that, or day trading. No, what you're telling them is we want to take a portion of your money and you're going to buy a policy on a person. And where are you getting paid from? You're getting paid from the same insurance carriers pretty much that you have entrusted your money with when you've bought the annuity. So it's just one variation off, and they're staying within that space of where they're getting paid from. Okay. Again, Warren Buffett, big banks have been doing this for a long time. They don't go out and shout it from the rooftops because people have misconceptions about life settlements. They think, oh, this is ghoulish. I'm making money when somebody dies. Well, guess what? You literally have just described what life insurance is. If you have a family member that makes money when somebody passes in their family, that's insurance. These are people who do not want their policies anymore, cannot afford their policies anymore, and they're looking for somebody to buy it from them so they can use that money for end of life care. So that's exactly what a life settlement is. It's when somebody who usually 75, 80, 85 years old no longer wants their policy, they can no longer afford their policy, they don't have a need for that policy, they want money now for end of life care. What we do is provide investors to come in and buy those policies at a major discount, who then go on and get the death benefit when these people pass. It's that simple. So it's a win-win scenario. Investor receives the policy. Mr. Brown in this situation gets his money for end of life care. The client most likely is going to get a strong return on his money without dealing with any kind of market speculation or dealing with the risk of being in the market, and seeing also, sometimes low returns from annuities. It's a win-win because the investor is placing their money in something where they know they're most likely going to get paid from an insurance carrier, and seeing very decent returns at the same time in a decent amount of time. Okay. So that's how this works. I want to show you where we would go with this. If you say, okay, I'm interested, we would sit down and have a conversation with you. And what we're going to do is we would take your clients to my website. It's this easy. It's lifeadvisorsolution.com, all singular, lifeadvisorsolution.com. And I want to share with you the website. Okay. These policies you're going to see on some of them, it says reserved. And the reason is because as soon as I get policies in, people are buying them. Okay. So this is something where you don't just want to come on the website and go, oh, well, there's nothing available. That's not the way to look at this. The way to look at this is for you and I to talk to your client base and find out if they have an interest in the idea of investing, and then find out what they would be interested in investing in. And that's going to come down to three key things. Number one, what is the money they're willing to invest, right? That's, the price of what's comfortable for them. Number two is there a type of policy they would want to buy, as in, are they only interested in males? Are they only interested in a certain age? And then and life expectancy. The final thing is, how much is this how long is it going to take for this expectation to get my money? So maybe your clients want a shorter term policy, which are going to cost more money to buy. Obviously, the longer they're willing to wait on a policy, the cheaper we're going to be able to buy it for them. So I have a policy right here in front of you that I'm showing you that I just sold this last week with an agent that I work with. And yes, he made 15% on this. Matter of fact, this agent sold 3 policies in the last 2 weeks for a total of about $200,000 to various investors. And yes, he made about $30,000 doing it. And it was a very, very simple process. So I'm going to walk you through how you can look at this so you can understand it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but again, I'm going to show you how this works. So this is a policy called LPL 105. As you can see, the carrier is Farm Bureau. I can go through my list. We're always dealing with A-rated carriers. It's not going to be a company you've never heard of. These are solid companies. So when your client buys the policy, they can be pretty comfortable knowing they're going to get paid, just as you would with any other life insurance policy. When your client comes in and buys the policy, they will be the owner of the policy. It's on there. They own it, and they can be the beneficiary. They can make their trust the beneficiary. They could leave it to their kids. They can put whoever they want as a beneficiary. They're in full control. Okay. So you can see here, universal life policies. We always deal with universal life policies. These are permanent policies. You're not going to see term. On this policy, you see the face value is $300,000. Okay. So that's what they're going to get paid. And that's what's great about this product. There isn't any fluctuation, if you understand. What I mean by that is, if the market drops by 10% in a year, your client's not going to come to us and go, well, did my policy drop by 10%? No, it's $300,000 no matter what when this person passes. Okay. The age on this person is 75 years old. It's a male. And you can see the APS summary is the life expectancy is less than about 3 years on this. Now, does that mean this person's absolutely going to die in 33 months? Absolutely not. But we can show you the statistical data that is behind this, that there's probably about a 50 to 60% chance they're going to pass away in that time frame, but there's also about a 20% chance they could pass away early, and then another 25% or more that they could live longer. But that narrows down the longer it goes on. Like, I have people on here all the time, the naysayers, who go, well, what if this guy lived forever? Well, number one is we are very selective in the policies we find. It is a buyer's market. We're not just buying policies. This is not a healthy 75-year-old. We have the full life expectancy reports we can share with you and your client before they ever decide to purchase. Think about this. It's like buying a house. You would not buy a house unless you had a complete home inspection done on that home. It's the same thing here. We have what I would call the home inspection on this person's life insurance to show you what it is through specialist doctors that have determined why this person is going to pass away at a certain time. The purchase price on this would be $80,000, okay, up front, $80,000. And then your client has to pay the premiums as they go along. But we disclose that right over here. As you can see, the premiums are about $13,000 a year. So you have to add that into the cost. If you see here in bold at 33 months, we make that the bold print because that's when the expectation is expected to happen. Your client at that point would have paid about $37,000 in premiums, right? So their upfront cost was 80. They add in another almost 38,000. So their total cost in this time was $117,000 or so 118 in a 2.75 year hold. That is a 56% return on investment, pretty much simple interest. That is a phenomenal return. That is way better than you're ever going to see in an annuity. And that is most likely easily beating most things you see in the stock market. Now, there is a decent probability that this person would pass at that time. But of course, you can sit here and say, well, what if this person lived twice as long? We schedule that out for you. This is more than twice as long, right? $82,000 in premiums on top of the original opening upfront cost is $162 to get 300. You're essentially doubling your money in a 6-year time frame, and you can see still a 14% return, still higher than you're making in an annuity, and you're getting numbers that match close to what the S&P does at the same time. And that is if somebody lived longer. Okay, so that's how this works, right? And you can go through my site and see we have, here's one that was $32,000 purchase price. We have very small acquisition costs for people, so it's all within the budgets of whatever your client wants to do. Here's another one for $41,000. Here's another one for $60,000. You can see we don't have a lot of policies where the clients are having to put in hundreds of thousands of dollars. The upfront cost to come in is usually going to be $50,000 to $80,000 depending, and then they're going to have to pay the premiums as they go along, and the premiums aren't just absolutely crazy. They're within the normal realm of what it would cost, right? Here's another one, $82,000 purchase price to get $250,000, and you see the premiums go along, but you see that there's stellar returns if the person passes on time, okay? So that's how it works. So where do we go from here as far as how to get started? All you have to do is go through your book of business. This is now a door opener for you. You have the website on your phone. You can have this conversation with anyone. I have this conversation every single day. The idea there is, think about this. You have a message that nobody else has because everybody else is trying to sell annuities, IULs, the market, real estate deals. These are all the things that everybody else is selling. Your clients have heard all this before. I always say this. I could walk down my street and throw a rock and find somebody who has been approached about annuities. Okay. I can walk down the street and probably find somebody who sells annuities. You're not going to find anybody else in your segment that has this offer. And people will listen because it's unusual and it's interesting. And people do understand the basics ideas of insurance. They understand that somebody gets paid from an insurance carrier when somebody dies. They just didn't realize there was a concept out there that you could own somebody else's life insurance. And now you have that provided. You can show them this is the kind of policies that we have available, or if they're reserved, we can get you a policy like this. That's where you would bring me in to make sure we find the policy. We go shopping for your client. And again, you make 15% doing this. Here's the process. The one I showed you with the 80,000, the client wired in the money. They own the policy on a Monday. Today's Wednesday. I'm telling you right now, as soon as I'm done with this call, I'm going and wiring the funds to the agent. He's paid within 48 hours after the client put the money in. It's that fast. Okay. As far as licensing, there's no licensing required here because they're buying and selling an asset. Okay. So it's that simple. You can also use retirement funds as well. So that's available as well. That's it in a nutshell. If you're looking for where money would be, is just go to your clients and have a conversation. Tell them this is available. One area that a lot of my clients are using is they're using their 10, or I said the advisors are using 10% free withdrawals from annuities to move some of the money over. It's a very easy conversation because your clients already have money banked with an insurance carrier. By just taking a small amount out and going and buying policies, they're still staying within the insurance genre. They're owning policies on other people, but now here's the upside. The upside is they're more than likely going to make more money than they would in the annuity, and they're more than likely going to get paid way earlier. So it's a nice diversification play. Another place is cash. A lot of people just have cash floating around that's not working for them. It's just sitting in the money market. That's another place to deal with. And then dealing with old 401ks, old 403bs, or just somebody who's looking for something different to move their money into. And this all completely makes sense. It's a win-win for your client because the bottom line is they're buying an asset, they own the asset, and they're going to get paid from an insurance carrier. It's not some speculative real estate deal where we think this is what we're going to get paid, or some oil and gas thing where we think this is when we're going to get paid. Right? We know here exactly how much money total your client is getting, and we know where the check is coming from. That is the beauty of investing in this.